Ano ai ke aloha ya kākou. Thank you for joining us today. In just a few moments, Governor Josh Green will sign two bills related to education. The first bill lays out annual salary increases for teachers, and the second bill protects educational workers from harassment. Facilitated questions and answers with media will follow promptly after remarks conclude. Without further ado, it is my honor to welcome Governor Josh Green.
Aloha. Super kind of you. Thank you. It's nice to start the week off in such a positive way. Let me say a few words here in a moment about important bills to support public education and the heart of public education, which is our teachers. So we're going to be in absolute support of them from start to finish. But I'm also really grateful to be joined by our education leaders at the Ledge. So we are going to have Senator Kim. Wonderful to be with you. Thank you for handling two enormous committees. So much work. I was sharing with Senator and Rep. They do the work. You know, we are honored to come and sign bills and to be supportive and show where we are as an administration. But their huge lift with Will and his policy team is the work. So thank you for all that. Woodson, great to see you. Thank you for all the advocacy in education and also for Maui. You know, you guys went through so much. Thank you for fighting for school dollars, for new buildings. Phenomenal. And OSA, again, as a leader, as president of HSTA, thank you for guiding us on the principles on how to really, support what we believe education needs. And, we have a great public school system, but we have to show more support, and that's why we're here with these bills. So I'll dive right in. House Bill 1890 first, supporting teacher retention. What this bill does is, as we've seen, teachers, from my perspective, have always struggled to be adequately compensated. That's the enormous challenge. That's the elephant in the room. We've done what we can, and we worked hard to improve salaries in general, but we need to guarantee steps. I think that's really what it comes down to. And this comes up a lot with a lot of our public workers, whether it's teachers or firefighters, for that matter, and everyone in between. We want to be supportive because when you have experience, when you can show that we reward that experience, and the superintendent has shared this with me many times, keeping people in the classroom, we don't have to go out and retrain people. And also having an experienced teacher, 18, 20, 22 more years, they are teachers that have had all of that experience to help our kids. So that's what this is about. It establishes the annual step increases for satisfactory service. It creates longevity increases for experienced teachers. Again, if fewer teachers retire, we don't have to scramble quite so hard to fill that gap because there's always going to be openings. So we want very experienced teachers. We want highly paid teachers, forgive my grammatical challenge. And then we want to make sure that this is part of what we do when we come to the negotiations, which have to be fair for teachers. And then finally, the salary increases remain subject to collective bargaining because that's the process that we've been guided that we should do. So this bill is about keeping teachers and rewarding them for their hard work. Next slide. Okay, now we're going to jump over to House Bill 1888, protecting Hawaii's educational workers. Natalie Iwamoto. Is that you? Okay. I'm so sorry you went through that. You look great. I hear you're a great person. No person should ever feel threatened. No person should ever be assaulted. No teacher, no educator should ever think about that in their lives. It's completely unacceptable. So thank you for being here. Thank you for driving this experience. Sometimes something happens, but then you can help hundreds and thousands of other people. That's what you're doing. Okay. You also have the same name as my mom, by the way. Not Iwamoto, though, okay, but Natalie. This bill, and it's in honor of you and the legislature that stepped up right away. It requires DOE to investigate reports of harassment. I've been hearing over the years of terrible phone calls that were targeting teachers. Sadly, in society now, there are just too many ways to subtly threaten individuals, to intimidate people. When it boils over in a terrible way like you dealt with, it's way beyond what anyone should ever accept. But there's a lot of other experiences that people have been having that also, I think, have to be addressed. And so I'm really grateful, Osa, for you leaning in to help us make this happen. So it does that. It establishes very clear reporting procedures in support of our affected employees. I'm telling you, if anyone out there has a beef with somebody in DOE or whatever, there are ways to express it. You can even bring it to our office if you have a concern. Don't ever take it up directly with an individual. We have to work together. We are a family in this state. Do not ever think it's okay to scare someone or threaten them or attack them. That is never going to be tolerated. So here we are. We're going to have annual harassment prevention training also, because just being aware. We, by the way, went through this a couple years ago with emergency personnel. I think it was people that worked in the hospital and then medics also. They were having similar problems. So this is a society-wide problem, but it can never happen to our educators. So I'm grateful for these bills. You guys were really great. I think that might be our last slide here before I turn it over to our experts. Okay, there's other consequences here. If you harass any of our educators, we're going to hold you to account. And so the Attorney General is going to come in a serious way. They will help us with temporary restraining orders. Don't even think about doing this. We will expand the harassment law to also include just disruptions. Our students and our teachers deserve to have a safe place, and they have a lot of work to do. It is hard to educate kids now. There's distractions everywhere. The last distraction we should ever have is one of violence. And then finally, we're going to be very clear what harassment looks like, and it's going to be a misdemeanor. You're going to get busted. If you ever get near Natalie or anybody else, you're making a big mistake, okay? So I think Osa and I will be between you and that person before that happens. So please don't do that. Let's move on. Let's move on in a smart way with this bill. So thank you, guys. Last slide, I think, is just mahalo to everybody. That's I think, our Teacher of the Year award. I can't believe we let Takumi get in a picture, but it's the teachers have been wonderful. We have these incredible educators that are spending extra time training. That's what they should be worried about. They should be getting extra credentials. They should be getting good salaries. They should be doing extra programs for their kids in school. They should never be worried about their own safety. And so I'm so grateful to Senator Kim, Representative Woodson, and all of your committees. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Governor. Next, I'd like to introduce Senator Donna Mercado Kim, Chair of the Senate Committee on Education.
Morning. Thank you, everyone. If education is the ultimate equalizer, then our teachers are the equalizers. Where would we be without our teachers? As a public school graduate, without Mr. Shigemi from Likelike School, without Mr. Choi from Kalakaua Intermediate, and without Mrs. Eastman and Mrs. Nakata, I don't know that I would be in this position today. And so I owe everything to the public schools and to our teachers. As the governor said, House Bill 1890 supports our teachers' recruitment. It supports their retention by providing automatic step increases. For everything that our teachers do in the classroom, for every single day that they're there, they're surely underpaid. They educate, they mentor, and they do go out of their way to make sure our students succeed. And while this bill does not have any funding, they still have to negotiate, this bill sends an important and a loud message to our teachers. What this bill says is that we recognize you and your value, teachers. We appreciate your commitment, and we support you. Teachers don't go into teaching for the money. They go into because they believe and they want to support our children. passion goes a long way, but passion does not pay the bills. It does not pay the mortgage. It does not pay the rent. It doesn't put food on our table. And it doesn't keep up with all of the increases in the economy and the high cost of living. And so we need to recognize that. We need to send that message to our teachers, and that supporting our teachers is not an expense. It's an investment. It's an investment in our children. It's an investment in our communities throughout the island. This is a decade-long priority by the HSTA, by so many educators over the years, and I want to shout one out for a former teacher, former principal, former CAS, former HSTA member, Ann Mahi, who really wanted to be here today, but because of health reasons, she cannot join us. But it's like her and all of you who have fought for so long to get this here today, and I'm so proud and I'm so happy. And my colleagues, I thank my colleagues in the House as well as in the Senate for making this bill possible. And I want to thank all the advocates, HSTA, and all of you here who had a hand in this measure. And Governor, thank you very much for signing this measure. It really means a lot to our teachers and to all of us. On House Bill 1888, on our education work safety bill, every educational worker deserves a safe and respectful, supportive workplace so that they can focus on teaching our kids and helping our students succeed. This bill strengthens the protections against harassment, intimidation, and workplace threats, and it helps ensure that our educators and school employees can perform their duties without any fear. And I really appreciate the advocacy of Lindsay Chambers. Lindsay, can you just stand up? Yeah. And I also want to recognize Natalie Iwamoto. Natalie, please stand up. You know, these two individuals experience workplace harassment and assault. They are examples of why this bill and these protections are so important for our educators and our school employees across Hawaii. When we protect our educators and we protect our school staff, we create a safer, more positive learning environment where our keikis can thrive. And so again, thank you, all the advocates, for this measure. It took us 3 years to pass this bill, but we finally did it, so thank you.
Mahalo, Senator Kim. Now, please welcome Representative Justin Woodson, Chair of the House Committee on Education, and the introducer of both bills.
Thank you, Makana. I want to first thank some people that were involved in this endeavor, including the governor's office, our AGs, the Department of Education, the House, the Senate, HSTA, and our testifiers that really drove home the point as to why these two policy solutions were so desperately needed. These two measures together reinforce our commitment to Hawaii's education workforce and to the educators who dedicate their lives to helping our keiki thrive. Our educators deserve to be valued, they deserve to be supported, and they deserve to be protected. Therefore, these two proposals are about setting an expectation. The first, House Bill 1890, simply put, says that if you are a teacher in our public school systems, you should expect a salary increase each year. If the state is of a decent financial situation, then you should expect that teachers, yes, you will receive that annual pay increase. Our precious educators should expect no less, and we should expect no less from ourselves in providing this elevated standard. The second, HB 1888, also sets an expectation. It says that if you are an educator or a sports official, you can expect, if needed, heaven forbid, but if needed, and you require administrative protective support due to harassment or threats, you shall have those protections. Education is the nexus to everything. Education is the nexus to everything. And these two bills demonstrates Hawaii's commitment to our educators and what they can expect here moving forward in the future. Thank you, God bless, and may God bless all of our educators.
Mahalo, Representative. Okay. Mahalo, Representative Woodson. Up next, our final speaker, please welcome Osa Tui, the president of the Hawaii State Teachers Association.
Aloha and mahalo. I'd like to thank Governor Green for signing these two bills today, which caps years and years of effort to improve our public schools by helping us to recruit and retain educators for Hawaii's keiki. House Bill 1890 has been a multi-year effort since it was first introduced in 2016. It simply asks to put Hawaii in line with school districts across the country, where step increases on the salary schedule happen annually. Our beloved HSTA teacher lobbyist, Sarah Milianta-Laffin, who helped see this bill through to completion, would have loved to have been here today. Sadly, after 10 years with the Hawaii Department of Education, she relocated 2 weeks ago to Indianapolis, where the school district salary aligns with years of service, which gave her an instant $25,000 salary increase. When people wonder why Hawaii struggles to recruit and retain educators, lagging compensation is a major reason why. Our compensation needs to be competitive and retain to attract and retain the best teachers for our keiki. Mahalo to Senator Kim, Representative Woodson, and the entire legislature who unanimously approved this bill this session. We look forward to engaging in the necessary negotiations authorized by this bill to now make annual salary step increases a reality. House Bill 1888 has also been a multi-year effort, born out of the craziness of COVID, but an issue that has been pervasive much longer for workers in Hawaii's school system who have been dealing with harassment as educational employees. I want to especially thank Lindsay Chambers and teachers, Inger Stonehill, Sean Whitwer, and Amy Takaki, may she rest in peace, who continued to advocate for this bill over the years. It is unfortunate that it took video of the assault of Assistant Athletic Director Natalie Iwamoto to finally get this effort across the finish line. Educational workers want to feel that they'll have the support of their employer to better protect themselves from outside harassers, and this law will go a long way towards that, including the development of emergency safety plans, working with law enforcement, assisting with legal actions, and providing paid leave to attend court proceedings. These two bills will go a long way towards continued efforts to address recruitment and retention of our educational employees, and we thank everyone who made today possible. Aloha.
Mahalo, Osa. At this time, we will move to question and answer with media, and we will start with Joe Kuramoto, KHON2.
Thank you. I guess my question is for House Bill 1888. Where do you draw the line between passionate disagreement and criminal harassment?
So people know when they're intimidated. It's one of those feelings that you have. It's very clear. It's okay to express your concerns about our school system. It's okay to express your opinion on how to make things better, but it's never okay to attack someone personally. It's just not okay. It's not okay in government. It's not okay in the classroom. It's not okay at a sporting event. We have to back away from that as a society. You know, I've been to a million events and it gets heated. I get it, but never let it be personal. Just don't do that. But now our Attorney General's office is going to be very aware. Obviously, in this circumstance, when things get physical, there's no question at all. But I would say anytime you're communicating with an educator or anyone in society, if you directly threaten them or tell them that they could be harmed, you've crossed the line. terribly. There are clear indicators that society has lost its way. I actually have additional concerns about social media and people hiding behind anonymous threats. That's also terrible. It gets amplified. I can tell you as a public servant, and I know our educators who take a lot of input from the outside, it does hurt. And it really destabilizes the work that people can do for large groups. So we should back off of that completely. There's freedom of speech. I get it, but never threaten an individual directly.
Mahalo, Governor. Up next, Victoria, Star Advertiser.
Hi, not sure who this question is better for, but the incident with Ms. Iwamoto, it drew a lot of attention, right, to the issue, but the concerns existed like long before it happened. Many people feel that meaningful action often happen after a high-profile incident or when somebody is seriously harmed or like when great teachers like Millie leaves island. How can policymakers be more proactive in situations like these rather than reacting afterwards?
That's a good question. I'm going to defer to you guys. Do you want to speak today? Is that a preference? Okay, so to protect them, because of the circumstance, I'll just address this. A lot of times that is how government works. It takes an extreme moment to alert us to a challenge. I can think of us off the top of my head. Of course, we should never let our children be in cars that are locked in the heat, but often it's a tragedy that really wakes people up to it. We had the wildfire. Surely we would have loved to have more prevention in place, more fire protection, but there's always so many priorities that it often is that big moment that mobilizes large numbers of people. And that's why it's so amazing when an individual who's gone through something tough steps into a leadership role like these two women and encourage the legislature to take action. In truth, we passed about 300 bills this year. Probably only 2 or 3 of them were ignited by a moment. The others were examples, like you say, just analysis, input from our superintendent or our president of HSTA or the Healthcare Association. Usually takes several years to pass legislation also, just so we don't pass a law that has an unnecessary or unexpected consequence. But these are some of the examples. We ended up passing the climate impact fee because we had a large natural disaster that also caused such terrible tragedy. I'm grateful that these incidents didn't result in loss of life, honestly. I will say this also, society has to do a little better. We all have to be more thoughtful and caring about the impact of our words and our actions, because it shouldn't come to the point where we see someone actually threatened before we feel we have to totally change policy. Laws really should be, in some cases, the last resort. We should be able to solve our differences as civilized, caring people. That's normally the case. There are some new challenges out there. I don't want to be overly philosophical, but we didn't have methamphetamine 40 or 50 years ago, so of course we had to have new laws on the books for that challenge. There are some challenges with homelessness that we never wrestled with. We never had so many people that had bipolar disease and drug addiction. So now, yeah, sure, policies have to change, but we don't want to wait until we see people dying on the street to pass that. So I think the legislature has done a very good job. There's a lot of experienced legislators around who have seen these issues, but sometimes it takes a catalyst, and that's what these two women have been.
Mahalo, Governor. At this time, we'd like to invite legislators and other key stakeholders for the bill signings. So we invite you to come up to the podium, and we will sign both bills.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so first, 1890 relating to education, really addressing the need to pay teachers better and a clear sign of the legislature's unanimous support for steps so that we make sure that we retain all the teachers possible and that no one goes to other places that are not nearly as great as Hawaii. And I include Indianapolis and Las Vegas in those two groups. Though those are nice places, they're not Hawaii, so let's keep our teachers here. Thank you, Osa. You guys were great. Okay, so that's one done. And then I'm going to save both these pens for a reason. Second, obviously, the second bill, 1888, relating to the safety of educational workers. I think the bill speaks for itself. Tragic moments that have been building up, boiled over. And so I'm grateful that the legislature acted, and I'm also very appreciative of the question about what it takes sometimes to tip over to legislation. We do want people to resolve differences to the best of their ability, but this was obvious. It was just time to really step in. So it's a message to everyone out there. You must treat our educators in a respectful, dignified way. They put out a lot for our kids, and no one in society in any discipline should ever be subjected to violence or threats. So thank you guys for fighting for this bill. And I have these two pens for the two. Thank you, Governor. Where is our? Okay, I got you. We're just gonna pull this thing out.
This formally concludes today's program. Mahalo and e malama.